Is GPT-5 really as bad as everyone's saying? You just need to look through the news. I mean, basically, you've probably been living under a rock if you've not seen the backlash against GPT-5. There was so much hype. It seemed like OpenAI were really getting the hype engine going. And then you get articles here by Wired. OpenAI scrambles to update GPT-5 after user revolts. There was so much pushback, users who did not want GPT-4 to disappear. So I thought we'd just give it a quick demo and comparison. So I'm going to be comparing GPT-5 to GPT-4 and to Claude in just a simple comparison. So as I walk through what I've got here, I've got a prompt here that basically says, you're a social media strategist, write 3 engaging tweets. I've then got a description of the sort of tweet that I want written. And then I say I'm going to provide some news articles. And all I've done is gone to Serpa Dev and I've run a search for news about AI in the last week. And it's got me all of this data. So each of the API calls are the same and we get different outputs. So we've got the American Medical Association highlights how augmented intelligence is posed to. Okay, so that looks good. That looks like a fair few tweets. We've then got GPT-5, which actually failed on the first call. I'm not sure if that was an issue with the OpenAI API or whether that was an issue with Portkey, which I'm using to compose these comparisons. Interestingly, it gives a slightly different structuring to the number, and I specifically ask it to write 5. That is certainly a step back. Then got Chat Latest. So this is supposedly the model that they've made to be more chatty and is part of ChatGPT. Now, whether that is really the exact model, I think is unlikely. It does seem that they're a bit more experimental, a bit more chatty with the model that they put out through ChatGPT. But this is what they're providing developers and saying that it's going to run like it. We get tweets, but interestingly here, even though I've asked it to do a tweet, it's inserting Markdown into it. Now, that's not going to be relevant to posting on Twitter/X. And we can see here that it is more chatty because it includes the kind of the preamble and the postamble here. Then I've got one more test that I've run, which is, to be honest, my favorite AI for writing. So I think a lot of the emphasis, and maybe this is more of a fair expression of GPT-4's ability, is encoding, and they kind of say PhD level knowledge. And I do wonder whether a lot of people have found it more difficult to talk to GPT-5 because it's pitching at that higher intelligence. I mean, it's the difference to kind of chatting to a mate down the local pub and then walking into kind of the ivory towers of the top educational institutes in the world. There's going to be a different sense in the nature of conversation. I was just putting it out there. Maybe GPT-5 is kind of too intelligent to fit naturally, I mean, including myself in this, with day-to-day conversation. So yeah, back to Claude 4. I think Claude 4 writes the best. So let's have a look at these. So it's numbered. We don't get a preamble. We did get a preamble on my first run through, but that could easily be sorted out adjusting the prompt. And we do get some nice tweets written about each of the news stories that I included. Let's run a further comparison. So this is the beauty of working in Portkey. So I'm actually going to go to and do 4.0, and then I'll go generate. Okay, it's going to generate a new one for each. So interestingly, here we go. 4.0 is adding in the source, but it is also doing a markdown. Now that could be easily fixed. I could specify in the prompt to not respond in markdown. It seems to have written it quite nicely too. After all of this hype of GPT-5, I would still say if you want writing, it's got to be Claude Sonnet 4. And if you have to use OpenAI, then I'd probably still be saying use 4.0 for sheer strength of written word. And then we can actually see here that the GPT-5 one really took its time, and we've got tons of these dreaded M dashes. In apps that I'm developing, I've actually taken to just doing a find and replace. Swap out an M dash with a comma and a space. That way, I think at least to a casual viewer, it's not so clearly AI. So yeah, I'd love to hear in the comments, what are you using GPT-5 for, and have you gone back to GPT-4.0?